Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach. I want to welcome you to the Beacon Tower Lunch and Learn as we continue our tradition of Parashat Acharei classes over here on Tuesdays. Baruch Hashem, we're coming back from a nice holiday break from Pesach, and I want to give an honorable mention once again to our gracious host, H&M Builders. Be'ezrat Hashem, Hashem give them bracha v'atzlacha in all they do, in their business life, in their personal life, health, wealth, and continued success. We also want to give an honorable mention to the pioneer of this class, Mendel Law, Judah Mendel. Baruch Hashem makes a huge effort every single week to make it happen, to bring the people to partake, to participate. Also want to give an honorable mention to Hummus Factory, who are constantly giving us an incredible spread every single week over here so we can have the food part of this lunch and learn. And of course to the people that are present over here, and for everybody that needs a Yeshua b'toch klal Am Yisrael. Okay, so Parashat Shavua is Acharei Mot. Typically, we read Acharei Mot Kedoshim. Usually it's a double header. However, this particular year, we had something very unique. We had a leap year. Remember, we had a 13th month. We had Adar Aleph and Adar Bet. Now, besides that being a unique thing to a year that it has an extra month, Pesach landed exactly on what? Shabbat. So that means that when Pesach finishes, which is Friday, as soon as it finishes, you're in Shabbat. So what happens? So basically in Israel, when they celebrate for 7 days, as soon as the Pesach comes out, they have to go into Shabbat. So they have no chance to make chalot, they have no chance to get the chametz. So what they do, they have to continue the Pesach, and the Mimuna, the big party, happens Saturday night. However, on Shabbat, they read Acharei Mot. Here in America, we have an 8th day. So Friday was the 7th day of Pesach, Shabbat was the 8th day of Pesach, and we do the Mimuna the same time as the people in Israel, Saturday night. So if you were a Jew from the Gola, from the diaspora, that goes to do Hagim in Israel now, it was the perfect time. Why? Because typically, while everybody is doing the Mimuna and dancing, this and that, you're still there eating matzot. And you can't take the cookies, and you can't take the mufleta, and you can't take all the things. But if you traveled this year, it was perfect. It's like they waited for you to do the big party. So we don't read Parashat Kedoshim. So later on this year, Matot Masa'eh is where America or the Gola and Israel catches up to be the same. No. So what happens? Now in Israel, they're going to read Kedoshim. We're going to do Acharei Mot. We're going to read Kedoshim. They're going to go on to the next parasha. And all after Matot Masa'eh, we're going to catch up. So you should know that in the next few weeks, us and Israel are off because of a day, because of the leap year. It's an interesting fact if you sometimes wonder why things are the way they are. This particular parasha, and usually we have to tie in 2 parashiot, but now since it's only one, we can speak specifically about the subject matter that's inside the parasha. So, the title, Acharei Mot, after the death. After the death of who? So the parasha deals with after the death of the children of Aaron, Nadav and Avihu. If you remember a few parashiot ago, Parashat Shmini, they went into the altar, and they went into the Mishkan with no permission. They came to give a sacrifice of an Esh Zara. What happened? A special fire came from the heaven, went through their nostril, burnt it to a crisp, and they were gone. It was when? Aleph Ben Nisan, the inauguration of the Mishkan. Very intense day, very, very intense day, this 1st of Nisan. In history, is in general for now and nowadays. And the parasha begins speaking about the death of Nadav and Avihu. As a matter of fact, it says, "Vaydaber Hashem Moshe acharei mot shnei bnei Aaron bekorvatam lifnei Hashem vayamutu." Now, this particular parasha talks about many different things. besides talking about the death of the children of Aaron, it also talks about Avodat Yom Kippur, the work of the Kohen Gadol on that special day of Yom Kippur. It also talks about forbidden relationships, what type of relationships we're allowed to have, and what type of relationships we're not allowed to have. And this is what's going on in the parasha. And as we know, whatever is happening in the parasha has directly something to do with us. Has exactly something to do with what's going on with us today. So if that's true, then we have to talk about something else also. Because there's also something else going on with us besides what's happening in the parasha. And if you want to know what it is, just look at my face. Why am I growing a beard? Because right now we're in the middle of the Omer, right? We're in the middle of a time period where we are in a mourning. We are mourning the death of 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva. We are right now in a period of 33 or 34 days that we are mourning the death that the students of Rabbi Akiva, that basically from the beginning of Nisan up until from the beginning of Pesach up until Lag BaOmer, every single day 700 or 800 burials. 700, 800 Jewish people dying, and people going to the cemetery and burying them. Could you imagine? And what kind of people? The highest quality Jew. The yeshiva learner. The big tzaddik. The one who stays all day long in the yeshiva and learns. They're dropping like flies. 700, 800 a day. Could you imagine being in a city where you're burying 7 to 800 people a day? For every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. It's very intense. And besides that, besides this Omer period that we're in, there's an additional thing. Besides this mourning period that we are for the students of Rabbi Akiva, there's another additional thing, which is the counting of the Omer. And what is the counting of the Omer? Specifically, it's a 49-day period for character refinement. It's 49 days where you work on your midot. You work on yourself. Every single day there's a different type of midah from a different angle that you work on. And after 49 days, if you do the work and if you take the time to polish yourself up, you become mamash a vessel ready to receive the Torah in the day of Shavuot.
I bet you that it goes throughout the whole year. I bet you there's a different energy, and this is just a revealed portion of the year.
So the rabbis tell us that anyone who takes the time to do the work during this time specifically is equivalent to 2 years worth of work on a regular day. That means if you're working right now on your chesed, on your gvura, on your netzach, on your hod, whatever, all these different aspects of the sefirot, if each day that you're working on it, you're working on it. But if you work on it exactly on that day, on that midah, on that specific character trait, it's as if you did the work of 2 years in one. I don't even know what I'm saying, but it's incredible. That's what the rabbis are telling us. If somebody really takes advantage of the time of Sfirat HaOmer. And all this is in preparation for us to what? To receive the Torah, Matan Torah. So I'll ask you a very quick question. I just gave you all the different things that are going on today, this very moment. Every single thing that I just mentioned is happening right now. So what is the connection? What is the connection of Acharei Mot? What is the connection of the Parashat Shavua? What is the connection of the Omer? What is the connection of the mourning period that we're in? What is the connection of Matan Torah that we're going through? What is tying everything together? Is it even interconnected? Can we find something in all of that connects it to be one theme? And of course, the biggest question is, what does it mean for me today? People always feel like, when they open up the Chumash, when they open up the Torah, it's like outdated stories, outdated information, something to flip through when you are in the synagogue. Nobody opens it up to see it like as a book of instructions on what they need to do. So let's see what we can reveal today in our lesson. So typically, like we said, Acharei Mot Kedoshim, these two parashiot are read together. if you translate the words Acharei Mot Kedoshim, it translates to after the death of the holy. Acharei Mot, after the death, Kedoshim, the holy. So, who are these holy people? Who's the holy? Well, in this week's parasha, it's Nadav and Avihu. Nadav and Avihu, the children of Aaron, they were on a very, very high level. As a matter of fact, Moshe Rabbeinu thought that Nadav and Avihu were on a much higher level of him and his brother Aaron. Could you imagine? As a matter, if you go a little bit back to a couple parashiot ago, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Bekedoshai et kadash." In my holiest of holy, I am going to be sanctified. So when he said that, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what that meant. Bekedoshai et kadash. What does that mean? But when he saw that on the first day of the inauguration of the Mishkan, when two of the most holiest people died, he turns to Aaron and he tells him, to be honest with you, when Hashem said that, I thought it was going to be me and you. Now that I see he took your two sons instead of me and you, what a high level that they're on. That means Hashem gave him the stamp of Bekedoshai. However, many other reasons were given of why these two holy sons of Aaron died. Many. Up to 15. Some of them are that they spoke halakha in front of Moshe. You know, there's a very big thing not to say halakha in front of your rabbi. Like, for example, you're sitting on a table and you're sitting in shul. And comes one guy that doesn't know a lot of halachot and he says, Rabbi, are you allowed to take a shower on Shabbat? Easy question, right? Anyone who keeps Shabbat can say, and jump up and say the answer. If you did that, it's a very big sin.
What?
You're not allowed to give an answer in front of your rabbi. The rabbi gives the halakha. So what happened over here? Nadav and Avihu, they gave a halakha in front of Moshe. They spoke a halakha in front of Moshe, and because of that, they deserve to die. Furthermore, they said when Moshe and Aaron were walking in front of them, they say, "When are these two old folks going to go, and me and you are going to lead this nation?" Could you imagine? They said that. Hashem said, "That's what you're saying about Moshe and Aaron. Let's see who's going to bury who." And in the end, they died. Furthermore, they say that they were drunk. They say that they drank from a very strong wine, and they did it in order to get inspired, to get happier, to get more connected. And in the end, what happened? They went and they did a mistake. And from here, we learn also that it's not good to go to shul drunk. It's not good to drink. It's not good to do shots before you go to shul. It's not good to come to shul after 3-4 beers. Why? Because, except for Purim maybe, okay? Or maybe Smachot. Why? Because a drunk person cannot pray properly. Why? A drunk person, what happens when he drinks? Everything is good. Don't worry. Everything is, he says he prays like everything is mishor. What's mishor? Everything is good. In reality, life is what? Life is highs and lows. Sometimes you have to you say thank you for what's good, and then you have to pray from the bottom of your heart for what you need. A drunk person never does that. The drunk person always sees everything good. Why? He's drunk. He's buzzed. So we don't do that. So you have to be careful when you come to shul to be in the right state of mind. Also, they said that they weren't dressed properly. They said that they weren't married. Many reasons. However, I heard a beautiful chidush on why, a beautiful chidush about the pasuk. It says in the first pasuk, it says, "Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe." Hashem spoke to Moshe, "Acharei Mot Shene bnei Aharon." After the death of the two young sons of bnei Aharon, the young sons of Aharon. Meaning, the Torah called them bnei. You know what? Like the sons. You know what's a son? It's like saying they were small in stature. So how old were Nadav and Avihu? Do you guys know? They were under 20 years old. They were less than 20 years old. So you should know that there's a rule. Under the age of 20, you don't get the punishment. Over the age of 20, you start to get punishment. So if that's true, how is it possible that two of the holiest kids to ever be in the world that were under 20 got such a harsh punishment? You said they're Bnei Aharon, the sons of Aharon. They're small kids. If they're under 20, how did they get the punishment? So this is something very interesting. It says, yeah, even though it says Bnei, the sons, like they're minors, and they were under 20, and we don't give a punishment under 20. Hadrash Ve'iyun says, this is a rabbi that gives this nuance. He says, Katan pikeach ubar da'at muflag ne'enash afilu lifnei gil 20. He says when you have katan, when you have a minor who's pikeach, who's extremely smart, ubar da'at, and he understands, he knows bar da'at, meaning he's holding his mind, he has a sharp mind. Ubar da'at muflag, meaning on a much higher level, like a genius or like a real spiritual giant at a very young age. Those get punished even before 20 years old. Why? Because they're on a much higher level. How do we know that? Because if you continue to read the pasuk, it says, "Vaydaber Hashem Moshe acharei mot shnei bnei Aharon." Yeah, they were minors, they were under 20. Why? Bekorvatam lifnei Hashem vayamutu. Why bekorvatam? He says, take the word bekorvatam because they got close. He says, you know what it means to get close to Hashem under the age of 20? You have to be on a super high level. You have to be someone who's control of your emotions, of your physicality. You have to have the desire. So they were on such a high level that they were able to get close to Hashem at a very young age. And because of that, they got a punishment even though they were beneath the age of 20. I thought that was a nice explanation. Another midrash says about Iyov. You know, when Paro, we just spoke so much about Paro during Pesach. When Paro wanted to know what should he do with the Jews, so he took several advisors. One was Yitro, the other one was Iyov, and the third one was Bilam. He took 3 advisors, and each one gave him an advice what to do. Yitro ran away. Iyov stayed silent, and Bilam said, kill them. So each one, because of what they did, got their, let's say, their punishment. So when Nadav and Avihu were talking, remember when I told you?
In the story, Yitro he called out, and then he ran away. So he
called out.
I'm saying he like
yelled.
He
So maybe, and that's probably to his merit to being the father-in-law of Moshe. So remember, I was just telling you about the conversation that Nadav and Avihu were having. So the exact wording was this: Avihu turns to Nadav and he tells him, when are these 2 old fogies going to die? And me and you will lead this nation. Avihu said that. What did Nadav do? He just listened and he did nothing. So when this story came to Iyov and says, look, Avihu said it, and Nadav, just because of listening and not doing anything, he died, right away he said, what's going to be with me? I also didn't say anything. Also, when Bilam said to kill the Jewish people, what did I do? I stayed silent. He started to shake. He started to get nervous. It's like, well, the same thing that happened to Nadav is going to happen to him. I thought those was a couple of new midrashim that sometimes you don't hear about Nadav and Avihu. However, besides the death of these 2 kiddushim, when we say Acharei Mot kiddushim, after the death of the holy, there's another death that we are mourning. Besides these 2, besides Nadav and Avihu, we are Acharei Mot kiddushim after the death of the holy. Which holy? The 24,000 holy students of Rabbi Akiva. Those are the Acharei Mot kiddushim, the other ones that are tied into the story. Why? As a matter of fact, let me correct myself. We're actually not mourning them. Can I ask you something? Can you name me one student from these 24,000 students?
Yeah.
No. Can you give me one name of these 24,000 students that died? These 12,000 pairs of students. Do we know any of them?
No.
That's right, no. We do not. We don't have not one name. Because the truth is, we're not really mourning them. You know what we're mourning? The Torah we lost. We're mourning the Torah that we lost. You know how much Torah was in those Jews? You know how much? As a matter of fact, also, when a rabbi walks in, what do we stand for? Are we standing for the rabbi or for the Torah that's inside of him? The Torah that's inside of him. If he has no Torah inside of him, what is he? He's a regular guy. He's a regular guy with a hat and a beard. What makes him a rabbi? The Torah inside of him. That's what we stand up for. For the Kedusha, he's a walking Torah. Keep that in mind. When we give an honor to a rabbi, we give an honor for the Torah that's inside of him, not necessarily for who he is as an individual. If he has mamash, midot tovot, and all that warrant that, that's a double bonus, we call it. But know that the reason why we get up is because of the Torah of the rabbi. And that's what we're mourning over here. We're mourning the loss of the Torah that we lost from these 24,000 students. And can you imagine what a different nation of Jews, how different Am Yisrael would be if we had Nadav, Avihu, and these 24,000 students? Could you imagine? You know what tzaddikim, bnei tzaddikim would come out of these two children? How about the 24,000 giants? They have children and they get married. Could you imagine if we had this influx of Kedusha into the Jewish nation? What we would be? We are now without it. Just think about it. And this is something that we have to understand. The Acharei Mot Kedoshim, after the death of the holy, we're missing that. We don't have that. We're missing Kedusha that was supposed to be part of us. Why? Why did that Kedusha leave us? Why did those people leave our lives, leave our world with no impression, with no continuation? To better understand that, we have to go into a hidden pasuk in the parasha. In Perek Tet Zayin, in pasuk Tet Zayin, when it talks very obscurely about the work of the Kohen HaGadol, it says, "V'shachat et seir chatat, asher la'am, v'vi damo en beit לפרוכת, ועשה את דמו כאשר עשה לאדם הפר, והיזה אותו על הכפורת, ולפני הכפורת, וכיפר על הקודש מטומאות בני ישראל פשעיהם להוכחותיהם, וכן יעשה לאוהל מועד, השוכן איתם בתוך טומאתם." The short of the long, it's describing here what the Kohen Gadol does in the time of Yom Kippurim, that he takes the blood and puts it on the parochet, and he sprays it over there, and puts it over there. But the last few words of this pasuk are incredible, and the whole lesson is about these few words. Take a look. It says, "Hashochen itam," that resides with them, betoch tumotam, within their impurity. And from these four words, our rabbis tell us that it doesn't matter what type of a Jew you are, the highest level or the lowest level, Hashochen itam, the Shekhinah, the God's holy presence, the word Shekhinah is a very big thing in Judaism. This Shekhinah, this holy presence that is our part of God, is always with the Jewish people, betoch tumatam, even when they are impure. This is a huge concept. You mean to tell me that now it doesn't matter that Jew that goes to the mall on Shabbat and that goes to the beach during Pesach, and meaning the Chag, not the Chol HaMoed, all these guys are not keeping kosher, not this, the Shekhinah is with them also, betoch tumatam? Yes. How could it be? How could that be? So listen to this. Let's get some basics. Every single Jew inside of them has a holy part of God. This holy soul, neshama, nitzot, this godly spark that's inside of you. That spark, you can never, ever, 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 ever damage it. You can't. You can't hurt it. You can't make it, you can't dirty it, you can't make it tameh. It's 100% pure all the time. When a person becomes tameh in his actions, doesn't eat kosher, doesn't keep Shabbat, has bad midot, whatever it is, the external part of his neshama is what gets affected. That core part, that godly spark, never gets. As a matter of fact, it says that when a person gets into certain situations, that spark sometimes leaves the body. And now there's a space, right? What happened? A different neshama comes in, and he dirties that, and then when he finishes dirtying it, it leaves, and then the neshama comes back. Where do we see that? When a person gets angry. Do you ever hear the story, the Igeret HaRamban? It says over there, that to stay away from the kaas, stay away from being angry. Why? Kol mineh de gehenom sholtim bo. All different types of demonic angels are controlling him. What happens? When the Kedusha leaves, what takes over? Tumah. It's like a rule. You know, it's like plus, minus, hot, cold. It's a law. When the Kedusha leaves, the Tumah comes in. When the Kedusha comes back, the Tumah leaves. So what happens when a person loses his cool? That holy spark says, hey, I can't be here. I can only be in a holy place. It leaves and something else takes over. Until the guy comes down, that thing leaves, comes back again. So it says, you know that you should know that there is that godly spark in every single one of us. Okay? Now, the Lubavitcher Rebbe gives us an incredible chidush.
Hi guys.
Shalom Aleichem. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe gives us an incredible chidush. He says, take a look. He says, when is the person at his highest level of tum'ah? At what point of the day is the person at the highest level of tum'ah? Who wants to take a guess? No? What's the complete opposite of night? Day. When we wake up in the morning, we are in the highest level of tum'ah. Why? Because when we go to sleep, our neshama goes to the heavens. The body becomes 1/60th dead. Echad b'shishim met. So we have 1/60th of tum'ah from death on us, and as soon as we wake up, we have to wash off that tum'ah. So what's the first thing that we do in the morning? Netilat yadayim. Right? Why? In order to get that tum'ah off of our hands. We're also very careful not to touch anything while we have that tum'ah in our hands, right? Because if we put tum'ah in that, if we do on our eyes, the tum'ah goes into the eyes. If you put the tum'ah, on your ears, then it gives it more power to hear lashon hara, more power to see wrong things. You have to be very careful what you touch in the morning. But before we do netilat yadayim, we do something else. The Lubavitcher already says we say modani. He says why? He says because you need to sit there when you're in the most tum'ah state that you are, the most impure state that you are, and say, Modeh ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shehezarta bi nishmati, rabba emunatecha. You tell him, Hashem, thank you so much that you gave me back my neshama. Thank you that you put me back into my body. And what's the last few words? If you notice, there's a comma over there. Why is there a comma? For you to stop. Because rabba emunatecha is something else. Rabba emunatecha. How big is your faith in me? Look at me, I'm completely tameh. I wake up in the morning, you give me my life back, you believe I'm going to get it right? You believe I'm going to do teshuvah? You believe I'm going to do mitzvot? Did you know what I did last night? Do you know what I did last week? Did you see what I did last year? You're still giving me life. So and now you wake up in the morning with your hands filled from 1/60th of death of the tum'ah of the nighttime, and you tell me, Rabbi emunatecha, you believe in me. Why? Because every Jew has inside of him the spark. The spark, you fan it, it's already live, it's high. Some of them, it's completely low fire. But it's still there. And as long as it's there, you are holy. Hashochen itam, that Hashem resides with them, the Shekhinah resides with them, betoch tumatam, even when they're completely impure. Now, having said that, this leaves us with a very strong point. Because we know that Hashem Himself loves us, respects us, and gives us life, regardless of what level we're on, high, low, super religious, secular, shomer, no shomer, shochen itam betoch tumotam. If Hashem accepts us in the middle of all our impurities, that means that we must respect every Jew. If Hashem respects every Jew, we must respect every Jew. We have to. Why? Not for anything else except for what? For that godly spark, that holy spark that's inside of them. By the way, if you want to know, that's Chabad in a nutshell. They don't see nothing. They don't see the hair. They don't see the phone. They don't see the jeans. They don't see the... Inside of him is that godly spark. And that's what they concentrate on. That's why they give him that chizuk to every Jew, because that's what they're concerned with. You go to other communities, they judge, they lie. He's like this, he's like that. He doesn't fit us. They're too religious, not enough religious. He looks like this, he looks like that. Nowadays, with the Ikvita de Mashiach, anybody that walks through the door of the shul, give him a hug and a kiss, tell him, come sit next to me. This is not the time to differentiate. Lasot the borer, you're good, you're bad. This is not the time. The lesson today is that we must respect every Jew, regardless of their spiritual status. As a matter of fact, right now, remember we talked about all the different layers of the time of what's going on over here. Parashat Shavua, Omer, mourning, we have all these different things that are going on. Let me add something else. How about Pirkei Avot? What are we doing? How come all of a sudden, in this 7-week period, all of us need to start learning Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our fathers? Why? Because the ethics of our fathers, you know what's over there? Musar. What's Musar? They teach you how to be with one another. They teach you how to be with another Jew. If you look in there, there's practically no mention of mitzvot. There's no mention of halachot. Over there's a lot of mention of how to interact with another person, how to think like a Jew, how to talk like a Jew, how to behave like a Jew. It's mamash midot, midot, midot. Character refinement. If you go to Pirkei Avot, on the 4th perek, the 3rd Mishnah, it tells you over there a little advice or instruction. Al tiyeh baz lechol adam. Don't discount people. Don't insult people. Don't look at people from high above. Al tiyeh baz. Baz is like to insult or to diminish or to discount. Lechol adam. Goes on to say further in the same Mishnah, Chaviv Adam shenivra b'tzelem. He says that a person that was created in the image of God is beloved, Chaviv. Admor HaZaken from the Tanya, right? He says something very interesting about the concept of giving respect to another Jew, or the lack of giving respect to another Jew. He says, Bebitul zolat, when you are, diminishing somebody, another person, you're insulting him, you're making them feel inferior. Vagbat atzmo, and you're feeling, I'm above, I'm better than him, I have more money than him, I'm more learned than him, I'm more religious than him. So when you're putting somebody down and you're elevating yourself, which is typically what happens, most people that put somebody down is just to feel a little bit better about themselves. Mafsidim chalila hakol. This is a very big statement that the rabbi is saying. He says that the person loses everything. What's everything? Everything is everything. The rabbi could have said specifically what he loses. He loses olam haba, he loses his money, he loses chas v'shalom, whatever it is. We don't want to talk about negative things. He could have said anything, but the rabbi said specifically hakol. A person that puts down another person and elevates himself, and in that process causes hurt to another Jew, mafsid chalila hakol, everything. It's a very, very strong statement. If you sit down and you just think about what hakol is to you, and the rabbi says you lose that, you stay away from those moments. You don't even try to get into those moments. Shlomo HaMelech, the smartest man to ever live, anything that he said, press record and learn it and live it, says in Mishle, To'avat Hashem kol gvalev. Hashem can't stand. It's an abomination to Hashem, a person who has a high ego. Gvoa lev, person who thinks very highly of himself, whether warranted or not warranted. Anyone who's a show-off, a shvitze, who has a big ego that goes around pompous, Hashem can't stand that. Who does Hashem love? Humble, anav. Look who's the number one in Hashem's list that he was the messenger for his message. Moshe Rabbeinu, the most humble man in the world. The complete opposite of that is what Hashem doesn't like. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share some stories with you. This is going to be very, very interesting. In Birei Noam, it tells of a story. Listen to this story. It's a story that's mentioned in the Gemara about Rabbi Eliezer. In Masechet Ta'anit, on the 20th page on the first side, it talks about Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon. That he was one of the most learned people of the generation. A Torah giant. And he's going on his donkey. And he's going by the beach. He's strolling on the beach with his donkey. And he's super happy. Why? He says, look at me. I learned so much Torah. I'm the biggest Torah giant of the generation. I'm so happy. I have so much Torah under my belt. I know every book by heart. I know every Mishnah, every Gemara. I know everything by heart. Comes to him a very ugly person. And he tells him, Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi. He tells him hello to the rabbi that's sitting on top of the donkey. And he didn't answer him. He gave him didn't reply. Then he comes back and he replies to him, Rabbi Eliezer. The rabbi says, how ugly is this guy? He says, where are you from? Are the people in your city ugly like you? He says, not only that, well, where do they make ugly people like you? So the guy looks at the rabbi. He goes to him, you know what? I don't know where they make ugly people like me. Maybe you should go to my creator and ask him. You should ask the guy that created me where they make ugly people like me. Immediately the rabbi realized he sinned. Immediately. He says, what did I do? How did I speak that way? How did I talk that way? He right away gets off the donkey, goes on the floor, starts to please forgive me. He's begging him for forgiveness. He says, please, I'm not going to let you go till you forgive me. He goes to him, you know what? I'm not going to forgive you. I'm not going to forgive you till you go to my creator and ask for forgiveness for him for making me so ugly. Now, who's the creator? Hashem. He knows he's in trouble now. He's in trouble now. The guy made an incredible sin. He continues to walk and he's following him for miles and miles and miles, and the guy's not forgiving him. As soon as they come into the city, people see that the rabbi is coming in, and people are coming and coming and coming. The rabbi's here, the rabbi's here, the rabbi's here. So the ugly guy that was walking tells him, who are you guys calling Rebbe? He says, oh, to the big rabbi behind you, Rabbi Eliezer, the one that's walking behind you. He says, there shall be no more like him in Israel. Wow, like a curse. He tells him, why? He says, because let me tell you what he did to me. And he starts to tell him the story of how he insulted him, and how he, the words that he said, and how he hurt him, and how he asked for forgiveness. He says, forgive him. They tell him, forgive him. He's a big Torah giant. Forgive him. He says, you know what? I'm going to forgive him, not because of him, because of you guys. So like that he won't go again and do this thing for other people. However, he says, you know who that ugly person was? Tosfot over there reveals to us, the commentary on the Gemara, that ugly person was Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi was the person that was so ugly that he came down to him. And he came to him for what? He came to challenge him. He came to see how this big Torah giant would withstand the test of Eliyahu Navi in the form of an ugly man. And in the end, he came to him and he says, you know why I gave you this test? To show you they should always look for what's good in people. Look at you, you're such a Torah giant and you fell. So you did fall and you did teshuvah and you asked for forgiveness. But from this, you have to learn how you must always look for the best in people. Look for the good point in people. That was a story of a Torah giant. As a matter of fact, there's another story, I'm not going to go into it, but we have the story of the destruction of the second temple, of Kamsa by Kamsa. Of a guy that gets invited to a wedding. His name is Kamsa. But then what happened? Bar Kamsa shows up because he got the wrong invitation. So he shows up over there and he's sitting over there. So the guy that is throwing the event sees him. He says, I didn't invite you. I invited Kamsa. He says, okay, I'm here. Can you let me stay? He says, no, get out. He says, please, don't embarrass me. I'll pay for my meal. He's like, you think I need your money? Get out. You're not going to be here in my simcha. He tells him, please, I'll pay for the whole simcha. Just don't embarrass me. I'll pay for the whole thing. How many people are here? I'll pay for the whole food. No, I don't need you. He went ahead and he kicked him out of the wedding, and he was so bitter that Jew that got thrown out of that wedding went all the way to the Romans and snitched on them, and over there began the story of how the Romans became how the Romans came and started to destroy Bet HaMikdash, and how this was a sinat chinam, and that was the destruction of the second temple. The beginning of the destruction of the second temple was that wedding. Sinat chinam. Could you imagine? As a matter of fact, now let's talk about the story of today. What's the story of today? Why do we have? Why the beard? Right? We said we're mourning the 24,000 students. You know that they call them, if you read, sometimes they don't call them the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva. They say it's the 12,000 zugot. That's how they refer to them, 12,000 pairs. So the question goes, why don't you call them 24,000 students? Right? Why do you call them, why don't you say 24,000 talmidim? Why is it you call it, what do you say, 12,000 zugot shel talmidim? If you told me 24,000 talmidim, it's enough. Why do you have to tell me 12,000 zugot shel talmidim? 12,000 pairs of talmidim. You know why? Because it's the way they behaved. Why did those people die? Why did those students die? Because shelo chalku kavod ze leze. They did not give respect to one another. Imagine, how big are these Torah giants? That we said we're mourning that we lost the Torah. Not that we lost them. When it came to studying, he looks at him, you're my chavruta, and he has an incredible chidush. He has an incredible Torah concept. And you know what he thinks in his mind? This guy will never understand it. He's so low in the level. I'm so much smarter than him. I'm so much holier than him. I'm not even going to share it with him. In other words, none of them were receivers. None of them were givers. All of them were receivers. In other words, you have a male and a female, right? In order to have a relationship, one has to give and one has to take. They wouldn't give. They wouldn't give. They weren't givers. They would hold back. That's what they called Shtemester Zugot. Because they acted like what? Like takers, not like givers. They were all pairs of takers. There wasn't a give and take to make them even it out. And because they didn't have kavod ben adam lechavero, because they didn't respect one another, Hashem says, I don't need you and I don't need your Torah. 700 a day. 700 to 800 Jews a day getting buried because of lack of respect for one another. In all these stories, we see the disrespect of the Jews in various reasons. All of them, we saw that they were ignoring that godly spark that we were talking about. They ignored that inside of each Jew, regardless of who they are, what they look like, what they talk like, what they dress like, what they behave like, inside of them is that godly spark that we must respect. In all these stories, we saw that they forgot that. And what we have to do as a lesson learned from this is that regardless who the Jew is, again, regardless of their level, religious, secular, far, near, we must respect that godly spark. Because you know why they're in that situation? Two reasons. The most popular one is lack of knowledge. If they just knew a little bit more, they wouldn't act that way. If they knew a little bit more, they wouldn't think that way. If they knew a little bit more, they wouldn't talk that way. It's just a lack of knowledge. And the second reason, sometimes it's a person's circumstance. A lot of people get very caught up in the situation that they're in, and they don't have enough tools to know how to get out of it. They don't have enough Torah tools to get out of it. So regardless of where they are, we still have to respect them. Now, what does this mean to us today? And with this I'll conclude. This is very interesting. We began a journey a few days ago after the Seder night. It's a 49-day journey with a destination point, Shavuot. In 49 days, we're supposed to meet Hashem on Har Sinai to what? To accept the Torah again. Every single year, we accept the Torah again. The Jew I was last year is not the Jew I'm this year. The Jew I was 5 years ago is not the Jew that I'm here today. The Jew from 10 years ago is not the person that's here today. Every year we accept another level, another level, another level. You become another level, a higher level of a Jew every year. Last year you chose kosher. 2 years ago you chose to shave with just electric. And each year you add more and more. You become a better Jew. Like one time you eat Chalav Yisrael, right? And the other ones do it. Everyone has different levels. However, before we get to this rendezvous with God, apparently Hashem wants us to really deal with something. Pay attention to what He wants us to talk about this week. He says, Acharei Mot kedoshim, after the death of holy people, holier like Nadav and Avihu, holier than 24,000 people. Doesn't matter what the high level of Torah you're on. Higher, more religious people than you died because they didn't have what? Ben Adam lechavero. Why do we read Pirkei Avot? Why do we have all these concepts swimming in our mind? Why are we talking about the godly spark in every Jew and to respect another Jew? Because he says, before you can come and meet me, before you can tell me, God, I'm ready for you, I want to be an angel, he says, first go and learn how to behave. Go and learn how to be with another Jew. Before you can be with me, you need 49 days to interact with other Jews. What's the right way to think? What's the right way to talk? What's the right way to behave? If you don't have that, don't show up. If you're not working on that, if you don't know how to respect my children, don't come to me, because the relationship with me comes only after you know how to behave with my children. Only after you know how to interact with our children. And that's what's happening over here. We are right now in a 49-day process where Hashem wants us to get really, really good of Ben Adam lechavero. And only after we get to the point of Ben Adam lechavero, 49 days really working hard on it and understanding that it's not just about being holy, because holier than you died. It's about being anav, low level, to the level, connecting to every Jew, caring for every Jew, having the compassion for every Jew. Then after you work on yourself like that for 7 weeks, you know what? Of course you're ready for Torah. Of course you're ready for a relationship with God. But without this process, you're not ready. And that's why every single day we have Omer. And that's why every single day we have Pirkei Avot. And that's why every single day we have another level to polish us between us. This is not between us and God. It's between me and you. Hashem says, first you work yourselves out, then you can come and meet me. And that goes to that very, very, very famous phrase. Derech Eretz Kadma LaTorah. He says, before Torah, before Shavuot, first what? Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz Kadma LaTorah. First learn how to be a mensch. Learn how to be a man. Learn how to be a human being. Learn how to respect another Jew. Then you can get the Torah. You can't have Torah with no Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz Kadma LaTorah. And this is the time period that we're in. And this is the lesson that Hashem wants us to see. He says, look at the holier people. Look at the direction they went. It didn't work out for them. If you don't have respect between one another, don't come and meet me. I don't need you to be an angel, but a monster to my children. You need to respect that godly spark that is within all of us. So Be'ezat Hashem, that we take the time that Hashem gave us between Pesach and Shavuot to really take advantage of polishing our midot with one another.
Amen.
Better with your wife, better with the children, better with your friends, better with strangers. Work on it. Because Hashem says, if you don't have that, then we don't have a relationship. You can't disrespect Hashem. You can't disrespect His children and then come be nice to the Father. Imagine somebody comes to your children, treats them like, I don't know what, and then all of a sudden when he comes to you, all the respect in the world. How do you treat him? Hey, mister, first respect my kids before you talk to me. That's what Hashem is saying. And to show you, in the original pasuk that we spoke about, HaShochen itam betoch tumotam, that Hashem is with us, even in the deepest state of impurity, He's with us. So it gives us strength in our heart, and it gives us resolve that we can actually make it, and Hashem is going to help us. But what He wants us is to first of all have achdut and derech eretz kadma leTorah ve'ahavta le'acha kamocha. Be'ezrat Hashem, that we merit to unity, love, and peace between Am Yisrael. Shitu levechem lechela, pasigu meter, iman tesaperu do acharon.